Hello mixtresses and mixters, this is mixtressrae. You're watching Mixtress Video. I don't think I can light that with a lighter. I need an actual match for that. Do I have any matches in here right now? Yes, I do. Okay. Gotta get the vibe going, right? Gotta get the vibe going. This candle's almost done. I don't have any other candles that are the right size to go in this little holder. Pretty traumatic, right? Okay. Are you ready for Vlogmas? Tarot Vlogmas week 1. I'm doing this I think I'm going to be doing a week at a time. No promises that I will do all 4 weeks because, life happens. But yeah, let's go ahead and start with, so prompt 1 is what major arcana card reminds me the most of the holidays. I picked something very, very cliche. I picked the Emperor card from Nightmare Before Christmas Tarot. Because it's Santa. It's weird. Many of you guys know that I have problems with masculinity, psychological issues with masculinity in general, and yet I have a soft spot for Santa. I don't like actual people wearing Santa costumes. Luckily, I don't really have much of that in my childhood memories, but I really like kitschy 50s Christmas decor. And there's a lot of Santas and kitschy Christmas decor from the 50s and 60s. That's my vibe for Christmas decorations. Second prompt is my favorite or minor arcana card that reminds me of Christmas. Again, I picked from Nightmare Before Christmas because this is just like my only Christmassy tarot deck. And I picked the 5 of Presents, which is the 5 of Pentacles. And just conceptually, that is the card that reminds me of, not because like this particular scene, like my Christmases were not like this. I didn't get crappy gifts or anything in my life, but it just reminds me of sort of the scarcity mindset of Christmas in general. This is just sort of a literal kind of pessimistic view of the holidays and Christmas time. It's just the capitalist nature of all of it that I always try to rebel against, but to varying degrees of success every year. Third prompt is my favorite card in the deck. I chose to interpret this as my favorite tarot card ever, just as far as conceptually. And I mean, it's really, of course, that's going to change based on my mood, based on the day, based on all kinds of things. But for me right now, it's kind of a tie between my all-time favorite, my forever favorite, my perennial favorite, if you will, which is 2 of Swords. But lately, my favorite has been 9 of Pentacles. So I chose one of my favorite 9 of Pentacles cards, which is from Gothmancy Tarot, because it's Elvira. Even though this one doesn't have a bird in it. And I do like to have a bird in my 9 of Pentacles, but this is also a really excellent 9 of Pentacles card. So the reason why I like 9 of Pentacles, why it's my current favorite, my favorite number is 9. I also just really like the vibe of just this person's totally happy with everything they have. They have everything they need. They're totally content. They're in a place that is their own happy place. I like it. It's just one of my favorites. And also it's a card that I've started looking for in decks. Like if I don't like the 9 of Pentacles, I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be a deal breaker if I liked most of the rest of the deck, but it's almost a deal breaker card if I don't like it, My least favorite card, that one was hard because I don't really have a card in the tarot that I hate, but I chose Emperor just because of my aforementioned issues because I think that our society, I've said this many times before, so forgive me if you've heard me say it before, but I think that our society is kind of in a reversed Emperor, and we've been there for a really long time, like probably thousands of years. So so Emperor is my least favorite card in the tarot because of that reason. But I chose to pick a depiction of an emperor that I like, a depiction of the emperor that is healing for me personally, and that is from Lost Hollow Tarot. I really like him. He still has all of these sort of, you know, for lack of a better term, hyper masculine vibes. He's very strong and stable. And there's a crow in this image. And we still have the Ankh, which I love Ankhs. Obviously, I love Ankhs. So this is an Emperor card that I'm getting better with healing my relationship to men in general. And this is one of the cards that helps me do so. Sixth prompt, a card that represents my spirituality. No, wait. I skipped forward. Fifth card. Fifth prompt. God, I can't talk today. I haven't made a video in like a week, guys. My divination challenges. So this is just kind of like expanding upon this Emperor right here. In fact, this is another Emperor card from Santa Muerte. I hate this Emperor. I hate it. It scares me because of the gun. So my particular divination challenges, I mean, I have many. I have many divination challenges, but one of mine is what I've been talking about. Just being able to confront, in general, for a long time, I didn't have very many decks that even had men in them at all. It was just something that I had to deal with. I had to learn to accept depictions of men in tarot. I'm still not very good with like realistic tarot decks, like ones that actually like realism as an art style. I don't do well with realism as an art style. This isn't really realism as an art style. This isn't an example of that. But this is an example of a card that, in general, it's not just like the men thing, but in general, whenever I see something in a card, a small detail that bothers me, it's all I can see. So when I look at this card, unfortunately, I'm not seeing the whole picture. I'm just seeing the gun. And that sets me off. So that's one of my divination challenges, because one little detail like that can really set me off. And I've altered tarot decks before, because if there's something that my eye is focusing on that really, really bothers me, sometimes I have to fix it. Literally fix it in order to move on. So that's just one of my divination challenges. Is I'm so detail oriented that sometimes I can get completely lost inside of a detail that bothers me, and it will make me miss the point of a reading because I'm focusing so much on this fucking gun that I can't see past it. So that's one of my things that I'm working on. The sixth prompt is, what is the card that represents my spirituality right now? And this is a hard question to answer, but I chose from Tarot of Vampires the Fool card, because I think in general the archetype of the Fool represents my spirituality, because it's always changing. And I always want to be looking at it with fresh eyes. And I also really like in this particular depiction, not only just the gothic flavor in general, but also the crow. And I also like the movement in this card, sort of the exuberant dance element of this card. This looks like, Brandon Lee's crow, right? Because of the makeup. And also the wrappings on the arms. But it's the most exuberant, happy crow I've ever seen in my life. As in Eric Draven crow. But this crow is pretty exuberant too. So yeah, I think this represents my spirituality in a way, or how I want to feel as a spiritual individual if I define myself that way at all. I want to be dancing through life. I want to be joyful. I want to be focusing on the good stuff. I want to be trusting the universe to catch me. I want to approach the world with a fool's mentality, with a beginner mind, because that's the freest, least anxious place in the tarot. And that's where I want to be. So it's more like an aspirational spirituality card, because I want this exuberance and joy for life. I want this. I want to be this. Also, the featured song that is playing in my head whenever I look at this card is Burn by The Cure, which is one of my top 5 favorite songs of all time. Okay, the last prompt is, what is a spread you like and why? I think. Yeah, and why. And I don't use spreads very often, but I decided to kind of just show you guys what I've been doing with my card of the day lately. So this week I'm working with Tarot of the Sweet Twilight. And I pull like a daily card. So this one's Two of Wands from Tarot of Sweet Twilight. And it is, as you can see, it's a different depiction of the Two of Wands, because it's like all paths still lead to death, you know? So it kind of doesn't matter what you choose in this particular Two of Wands. So lately what I've been doing, when I pick my card of the day, I make up a spread on the spot, or just a card or whatever, just depending on the day that I'm up against, the card that I pull. It's all just intuitive based on, that stuff. But I decided to pick, okay, so this is the Two of Wands. And since traditionally with the Two of Wands, it's kind of like you have a choice of which path to go down, right? So I decided to pick 2 cards to represent the 2 paths that I could potentially go down on this day. And I picked Justice and 5 of Pentacles. And since what I'm currently dealing with is I'm planning out a depth year for 2022, and I'm trying to decide like what my goals are. I've been doing a lot of calculating. Okay, so this is where this video will likely get babbly. Okay? So if you're just here for the Vlogmas shit, you can probably log off now, because basically my answer to what is a spread that I really like and why, it's making up my own spreads. That's what I like to do. That's basically the answer to that. But so, okay, now this is where I'm going to get rambly and personal, and who knows how long I'm going to talk, except you, because you know how long this video is. So the way that I would normally see this in the context of what I've been going through lately, like yesterday in particular, I decided to calculate how much money I've spent on the internet in 2021. So not only including my current obsession items, my current obsessions are tarot and perfume. So I counted that, but then I also decided, you know what I've never done? I've never just looked back at the year as a whole. Like, how much money did I spend on Amazon in 2021? How much money did I spend on Etsy? How much money did I spend on eBay? How much money did I spend on other random websites where I bought things on the internet? Because my thing right now is trying to deal with my online shopping issues. And I find them to be issues. And this is just me personally, because I have been charging my credit card a lot. That is my general pattern, is that I think that I deserve everything I want, which of course I do, but that doesn't mean that it's worth it, because like my mom calls it a poor tax whenever you charge things to credit cards because you don't actually have the money right now to buy the thing. You end up paying way more in interest. And by the time you pay off credit card debt, you've paid way, way, way more than a person that actually had the money to buy the thing to begin with, So this just kind of expands on my previous tarot deck capitalism rants. But what I'm trying to say is that I have done the numbers and how much money I spent in 2021 on the internet. You know what? I wasn't going to tell you, but I might. I have it in front of me. I'm very embarrassed by it, and it's not because I'm trying to place any judgment on anyone else. I don't want to sound like I fucking know what I'm talking about or that anyone should live like me. I think people get their hackles up when people talk about tarot collecting sometimes, because it's like, I see collecting anything as a problem for me personally. And that doesn't mean that I see it as being a problem if you do it. You know, it depends on, like, for me, I can't afford it. And this is something that I've talked about before, but I can't afford to collect things because I end up charging my credit card. And I don't want to do that anymore. And that's my number one goal for my death year in 2022, is that I not charge my credit card at all for any kind of shopping. I'm stalling. I spent, and this isn't even everything because I wasn't keeping track since the beginning. I was just trying to like do it all, you know. So in 11 months, January 2021 through November, I spent around $4,000 on the internet. So that's an average of $350 a month. About, again, these numbers are a little bit off because I keep thinking of things that I forgot to write down, and I don't want to do all the math again. So this is close, but it's still kind of a lowball number. And I guarantee I did not have the money at the time to buy many of those things. This does include a few big ticket items that like I don't normally end up buying for myself. Like I bought a new phone this year. I only buy a new phone every 3 to 5 years. So this does include some bigger ticket items that like won't be something that I will repeat again in 2022. But for me, $4,000 being spent on the internet in 2021 in 11 months, not even the full year, is horrifying. It's, like I knew how much credit card debt I had. I knew how many decks I bought this year. I knew I've been keeping track of how many decks I bought this year. I've been keeping track of how many perfumes I bought this year. But I wasn't counting everything, every tiny little thing that I think I need at the time. There's so much stuff that I think I need in the moment. And I went back and I made a list of items that I thought were worth it from the year. And it was only just because, I was in it at this point. So I was just doing all kinds of different math. So about 70% of the things that I bought in 2021 were things that I kept and that I decided were worth it to me. So I'm stuck in a point right now where like my instinct is to feel really, really guilty and shameful about what I've done so far. What I have done, because I'm looking at the numbers going, okay, this is exactly why, I can't keep a credit card paid off. This is exactly why I rack up a bunch of debt. This is exactly why I constantly feel like I'm in a 5 of Pentacles space, that I'm deprived, this is exactly why I have a scarcity mindset, because I have to spend a lot of money every single month just paying my credit card debt. Anyway, I'm trying not to dwell in that though, because it doesn't help me to feel guilty about this shit. So how I'm moving forward, I guess this has just become sort of a death year goal video too. I can kind of share with you some of my death year goals. Sure, why not? I have them written down. I have a planner for next year, and I will show you what my death year goals are. How about we'll do that? Because I've been meaning to make a video about that anyway. So I want to make a zine in 2022. At least one. I haven't made a zine in I think it's been almost 10 years. And I kind of want to focus on doing slower things for my depth year. So I'm going to make a zine. I want to start doing some collaging surrounding tarot concepts. I don't know if it'll ever turn into anything, but I just want to do it just for fun, just to kind of get back in the mindset of making art. Maybe just get like a sketchbook and just start collaging some tarot imagery. I've got plenty of collage materials and I just hardly ever collage anymore, and I used to do it a lot. I'm in like a vampire book club. So two of the things that were definitely, this is one I think that's just personal. I don't know if anyone else is going to read this with me, but I'm going to read Carmilla, never read it. And I'm going to read Dracula this year, never read it. I also, like, I always have like a number of books that I set like as a reading challenge on Goodreads. So I definitely want to read at least 40 books in 2022. And then I always put this stuff on my like goals for the year. They're just easy things to check off because I'm in the habit of doing it. Continue Buffy Podcast, continue Patreon, continue YouTube, continue the radio show. I want to do sort of a digital detox in February. So I'm going to do no internet February. Of course, that's not going to be completely no internet because I do have to use it to a certain extent for work. There will be internet things that I'm allowed to use, but it'll be extremely limited for the month of February. And sticking to my internet shopping budget, that's a big goal. And then this is just something else. I'm keeping track of sort of like things that cause me shopping distress to hopefully avoid for all of my internet purchases. So there you go. So then I also have set up, so this is my budget for internet shopping in 2022. I'm allowing myself to spend $120 a month, which to me sounds high. It sounds really high to me, but if you break it down, it's $30 a week. And if I compare it to how much I spent this year, this is about a third of what I spent on the internet as an average in a month. I can't even believe it's that bad. But again, I'm trying not to dwell in the guilt. I'm just letting you guys know where I am. This is where I am. So this is how I'm going to keep track. So I've just reallocated. This was supposed to be like an address book thing, but it happened to have 12 little sections. So I just labeled them all for months of the year in the back of my planner. And I'm going to write down every single internet purchase, whatever it is, how much it costs, total it up at the end of the month. And, you know, if I spend in January, if I only spend $80, then I'll roll over 40 that I can spend in February. Although I'm having a no internet February. So February should automatically be $0 right here. I didn't even think about that. But anyway. And the way that I'm, and then I have a little key here. So I can write down when it's arrived. I'll put a little star next to it. You know, at the end of the year, I'll put a heart next to everything that I ended up keeping. Because I end up getting rid of a lot of stuff. Because if I don't like something and I don't use something, I'm going to get rid of it. Whether that be perfume, tarot, whatever it is. I'm like that with everything. Nothing in my life is for the most part, is unused. And then I also have a couple of exceptions. I have a Patreon. So like bigger purchases, like this year, for example, I decided I wanted roller skates and I saved up for like 3 or 4 months. I just didn't cash out my Patreon income for like 3 or 4 months. And then when I had enough to buy the skates, I cashed that out and I used that money to buy roller skates. So if it's anything that's like a bigger purchase like that, I will use Patreon funds to get it, and it won't count against my monthly total if I'm using Patreon funds. Same thing with my Etsy income for my Etsy tarot, my tarot reading Etsy shop. It's an unpredictable income. You know, like some months, this month I think I only got 1 reading order. Some months I get like 1 or 2, other months I get like 10. So like I don't even necessarily guaranteed have any Etsy income, you know? But for 2022, I'm going to allow myself to whatever Etsy income I get paid at the beginning of the month for my Etsy income, if I have any. I will just let that be extra that I can spend on whatever I want without it counting against my budget. So this sounds like, to me, just saying that out loud, sounds like a really lenient depth year, because I do want it to be a low buy depth year, but I'm trying to pick a goal that's sustainable. Like if I'm going from spending $350 a month on the internet, which I don't have, then I need to make a sustainable goal. I think a third of what I spent this year, if I spend a third of that on the internet and I don't charge my credit card at all in 2022, then it will be challenging for me and it will be a big accomplishment. And I might even eventually get to a point where I might have a no-buy year. That seems like it's, but to me, that seems like it's something that would not be attainable for me. And I was thinking about doing it for a second, like because of my guilt of my overspending, you know, my first instinct is to, okay, well, I can't buy anything on the internet ever again, ever again, ever again. I'm done. That's my instinct, is what I want to say. You know, I want to say I'm quitting forever, but I can't do that. I can't sustain that. I know I can't. So I'm trying to pick goals that might be sustainable for me. I really hope that these will be, because that's just me sharing some real personal shit. Okay, thank you for listening. And that's, I know this is like kind of a thing that gets, I don't know, this whole topic of like collecting and talking about spirituality and spending, you know, that kind of thing. It gets people's hackles up. I'm not trying to call anyone else out for their collections. If you can afford what you have and it makes you happy and it doesn't cause you distress, that's a totally different thing. I experience a lot of distress because of how much time I spend trying to decide whether or not I want to buy something, how much money I spend that I don't actually have, how much regret I feel when I acquire a thing and it turns out I don't really like it that much and I should have known better. But, you know, because I'm definitely susceptible to marketing. I think we all are. But I need to get a handle on this for me personally, because I'm spending money I don't have. I know I'm repeating myself, but like just being vulnerable on the internet. It's Wednesday. I am just sharing my own experience and where I am. And I feel like that's a disclaimer that I don't need to fucking say, but people get their hackles up. They really do. I'm not trying to call someone else out because they have a big collection. Yeah. You know, enjoy what you have. Always. I'm trying to learn to enjoy what I have. And for me to enjoy what I have to be able to afford it. There you go. That's a good way to sum this up. Thank you for watching. I talked a lot longer than I should have. I don't know if this video will ever upload. Cross your fingers for me, guys. Thanks for watching.